Intimate conversations and green tea. Tell me your dreams, I'm trying to get to know you. Searching for sunset, sailing the seven seas. Would you come see the mountains with me in California? I'll give you everything you ask for. I'm trying to color in your passport. Don't have to worry anymore. Take a heart up on this floor. I don't need a map for love. I don't need a compass to get back to you. I'll ride 100 trains, I'll fly 100 planes. Cause when I'm with you, girl, I'm dreaming wide awake. I finally open my eyes. I wanna bring you to life. Cause when I'm with you, girl, I'm dreaming wide awake. Dreaming wide awake. I finally open my mind.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Betting News Network. This is your afternoon BETSPRESSO. Excited to have you with us to finish off your Monday. It is September the 22nd. Welcome to the show. That is Mr. Danny Burke. That's my dog V-Sauce. My name's Sweatpants Jesus. Stoked to have you guys here to finish off your Monday. Boys, happy Monday. We got a lot to talk about today. We got the vibes are high. I know fam is ready to roast V-Sauce. Boys, how we living?
Oh, doing better than V right now. I mean, as a Bears fan and him a Packers fan, I may not get to say this for the rest of the season, so I got to bask in this happiness while I can. Look, it was a tough one for V's team, but, it's not anything the Bears did special. Great to see the progress from Caleb. Very favorable spot against the Cowboys. So equally, it was like, you don't want to say like that the Bears are now this great offense at the same speed that you don't want to say the Packers are a bad team just because they lost one game. But again, got to be happy about it while I can, fellas.
Dude, it was tough. I went from watching the Rams looking like they're going to win to blowing the spread to watching the Packers collapse. Wild. It was an insane window. What is it? The witching hour. Insane witching hour finished up. What was a couple of shitty games, but my God, I wasn't ready for fam in chat and bright and early. He called me, he texted me, he tweeted me, and all I can say is Myles Garrett is scary.
Scary hours. You posted it on the timeline. I didn't know if it was going to come to the point where the Packers were not going to get the job done, but we're going to talk about everything from the weekend, from week 3, a couple of other things to mention with you guys today. Obviously, we're going to play the good, the bad, and the ugly from last week. 3 teams that stood out to us from the NFL week 3 as well, who we thought had good weeks, bad weeks, and just downright awful weeks. And then we're going to jump in and we're going to talk Monday Night Football. We talked about it earlier on Any Given Wager, but now we're going to give you guys some more plays and then cook a parlay at the end of the show. So thanks for stopping by right here on the Betting News Network, brought to you by our sponsors at Bet Online. You guys can get involved with everything we're going to talk about today and so much more with this QR code right here on the side of the screen. Use the promo code BNBOL55 to get a deposit bonus when you join and hang out with us on Bet Online. Boys, if you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching this on Twitch, or if you're watching this on X, wherever you guys are consuming this content, we appreciate you guys for kicking it with us today to kick off your week. Let's just jump straight into it. You guys have already been, the chat's going wild. Appreciate all you guys in the chat for hanging out. Thanks for finishing off your day. Hope you guys are having a nice end to your work day. The weekend review is here, man. You touched on it. I'll just lead us off. I have a rant that I want to get to in a minute, so I'll save that for kind of the end before we jump into the good and the bad and the ugly. But that Rams cover, or lack thereof cover, and the Eagles somehow magically covering was one of the worst betting beats I've had in the last couple of seasons by far. There's been some prop ones that have been absolutely disgusting that I can't even remember, but from a side or a total perspective, to go from a team that should have, also the Rams are my side piece, so I was really happy about watching them possibly win that game, and then for them to not even win and then not even cover was just absolutely devastating, which, as you said, V, was something that we were both on. Danny ended up sitting that one out because he thought the Eagles had a chance, but he even texted us in our other group kind of saying that he kind of wished he was on that, and then it ended up falling apart at the last moment. So, yeah, that was brutal, dude. Fucking brutal.
Yeah, there were a couple of beats like I had that yesterday. The Rams one was terrible. Obviously, I didn't bet the Packers, but as a fan, that was terrible. If you asked me how long the Browns led for in that game yesterday, I can tell you it was at 0 0 minutes and 0 seconds. They led the game for that last field goal try. It was horrendous. And lastly, Jacoby Myers, 66, I think 65 and a half was the line, finished with 63 yards. And I got teased because his stats went up. He had 83 some yards. And then I guess the catch got called back or was ruled incomplete on some shit. I don't know. Had to watch that one. Just so many L's coming in that last window of games yesterday. For me, that was tough.
Yeah, and just to speak in it, I know SPJ, you and I were talking about this earlier, but V, yeah, it was kind of rough sledding for me as well. I think I ended up a game under 500, which obviously, considering how nuts yesterday was, I suppose I'll take it. But a couple bad beats for me were the biggest one was Dak Prescott over his passing yards, like 257 and a half. He ends up with like 251, 252 because they take him out of the game with about 4 minutes to go. Had a couple interceptions that took away some yards as well. And it was setting up perfectly, right? I mean, my Bears are winning. The Cowboys are trailing. It's going to pad his stats even more so. And unfortunately, he falls short. The other tough one, and maybe they didn't even deserve to win this game, but it was the 49ers -2 in the hook. Nowhere near as bad as the Rams failing to cover, but Mac Jones takes a safety, or it was a holding in the end zone rather, and then it was a safety, and they win by 1, and they probably should have lost it regardless, but nevertheless, doesn't make it any easier when your team wins but doesn't cover, and it's under the key number of 3. So it was with some plays like that just made it sting for sure, but we still have tonight to get some back. And yeah, it was a crazy day of football. I can't believe the Packers were as lackadaisical as they were. We were talking about on Friday, certainly thought the Browns could play within that number, but no shot did I think they would actually win it. I got to give a shout out to my friend. We were watching the game live. He's like, man, the Browns are like 55-1 right now. Throws $10 on it. We're just absolutely sweating it out. So again, not to rub salt in the wound here, V, but as Bears fans, we're already elated, but that just made it even sweeter for him. So got to give him a little shout out. $10 turned into a nice chunk of change for him. So crazy day, SPJ.
Makes it a little bit easier to know somebody at least made some money off of that.
Yeah, he paid the bar tab. D's dealing with a little bit of technical difficulties. We're hearing him nicely, though, so that's good. And Danny did make the joke before we started that V just so happened to have technical difficulties the one day the Packers just shit the bed a tiny bit. But
what a coincidence.
What a coinky.
Regression truck hit me like the regression truck came calling and just caught me laid out on the ground. I'll say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Bear down, Malkeet in the chat. Malkeet, you might know that Mr. Danny Burke right here is also a Bears fan, so you got a fan in the chat. My dog, she's down from fam. Yeah, crazy day. As you guys mentioned, the Chargers look dominant. We'll talk about that in a minute with the good, the bad, and the ugly in that when we get to that section. But let me give me just a minute, boys. Let me lay this out for you guys.
I'm excited.
So thank you, Danny. And I know you said this to me over the last few weeks that you actually thought the Titans were a decently competitive football team, kind of been on the back half of some bad beats. And I said to you after week 1 against the Broncos that if they would have had competent head coaching decision-making, that I think they probably should have won that football game. Now, last week we didn't really have as many situations where Brian Callahan shit the bed, but I told you guys, if you guys watched that Rams-Titans game, at the end of the half, they had an opportunity down. They were winning the game. They had an opportunity to go and either kick a field goal or try to score a touchdown with less than a minute left. And J.J. Watt was actually pretty critical of the decision from Brian Callahan to not try to go and score a touchdown, at least not even throw the ball towards the end zone. And I get it. You don't want to turn the ball over and not get any points, but you ended up losing that game by multiple scores because you didn't put your foot in the gas and put your pedal to the metal. Cam Ward has shown enough so far in the first 3 weeks of the season that you can trust this guy to go make some plays. You got to take the training wheels off at some point. This is not Will Levis throwing the football anymore. And then we get to week 3, boys, against the Colts at home. First of all, as a home dog, if you win the coin toss, you don't take the ball first. You give the ball to your defense. You allow the road team have to go and travel. And the Colts have not punted at any particular point. And I know that that's scary hours to give the ball to this particular offense. But at home, you want to get the ball in the second half. You want to send your better unit, your defensive unit, out there against the first game script and get you the ball back to start the game. So that was mistake number 1. Then he made some in-call indecisions that were terrible throughout the rest of the game. And then we get to the crux of my argument. And the reason why that I'm about to rant to you boys. At the end of the first half of this football game, Brian Callahan decides to run the football because he wants the Titans to be able to kick a field goal going into halftime and the Colts to not have the ball at all, which makes a lot of sense. Then there was a timeout by the Colts. Then there was a timeout by the Titans, and then they tried to send the field goal unit out on a 4th and 1 to try to kick a field goal. First of all, why would you not let Cam Ward at least try to go get you a fucking yard to try to get you in a situation where you can then drive a little further down the field and maybe score a touchdown? Bad decision making. Fine, fair enough. You take the field goal. Joey Sly's been kicking it from all over the place. You take the 57-yarder, and if you kick it, great. You have like 30 seconds left. Then these fucking bozos decide that they are going to take a 5-yard delay of game penalty because they didn't have the right football on the field, and they couldn't call another timeout because that's not allowed in the NFL.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Take a 5-yard trust me, I was watching and pulling my hair out from my couch. 5-yard penalty to make a 63-yard field goal. And what, of course, happens, boys? He misses the field goal. Of course he does. So then there's 30 seconds left. Daniel Jones drives down the field, and then the Colts kick a field goal, which is what Brian Callahan was trying to prevent the whole time. There were so many other things that happened in this football game. But in that particular moment, I knew from the not knowing the rules in week 1 on the Alec Manor catch on the getting the elbow in bounds, 1 elbow equals 2 feet, to not even admitting in later in the fact that he didn't even know the rules.
Right.
And then to come out in this particular situation and just have such a terrible way to game manage a situation. I'm done with him being the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. I don't care when they fire him. If they wait another few weeks, that's fine. But this guy cannot be the head coach for the rest of this season. Cam Ward at this particular point is playing way better than he is being coached. And we need somebody else running this ship. Now, I know that you guys don't want to hear me rant about the Tennessee Titans anymore. But, Danny, we talked about this a little bit on your article. I'm sure you probably got some thoughts on this too. But this guy is not a head coach. He might be a fine offensive coordinator. There were pre-snap penalties. This is the most penalized team in the NFL. And do you know how many of these are pre-snap formational penalties? You are an offensive head coach. Do not throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage and have 2 people moving at the same time multiple times in one game. It's so messy. It's so disgusting. If you have, as last point, if you are trying to build culture in a franchise, you're trying to build culture in a particular moving, you're not going to be a good football team, but you just want to show growth. You want to show progression, right? This team has gone backwards. He has the worst winning percentage of being a head coach for 20 games in entire NFL history. He's had him plenty of chances. This was not a Will Levis problem last year. Yes, Will Levis was not great, but this is a Brian Callahan problem, and I do not think that he will be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans by the end of the season.
Go ahead, V. I'll share my thoughts after, but feel free. I'm curious your thoughts on the whole situation too. So
my thoughts are just the fact that some guys are offensive minds, some guys are great offensive minds, but they can't see the game as a whole. Some guys are just capable of seeing the game on one side of the ball and influencing players on that side of the ball. I feel like Brian Callahan was exactly that. He was supposed to be an offensive guy that kind of got the best out of his quarterback. And not to say that he hasn't done a good job with the quarterback, I have no clue. But the team overall has not performed, nor has the defense when they bring in pieces like L'Jarius Sneed, nor has the special teams looked spectacular. And like you said, SPJ, a highly penalized team is a coaching problem. And if you can't get that under control, then we're going to have issues. It just is what it is. He hasn't shown us anything. He's proven nothing. And now you have a team that is talented with some talented pieces. Yes, Ridley and Pollard on the older side, but you've got Alec Manor. You've got good defense on that side of the ball. And you have Cam Ward, who looks like he's supposed to look through 3 weeks. And I don't know. You got to get this guy out of here at some point, whether it's later on in the season, after the bye week, or before the bye week. I think you got to get rid of him before the season's finished, though.
Yeah, and SPJ, so I know you were talking about this earlier. I'm kind of trying to peruse across different sports books right now, but did you see updated odds on first coach fired? Or no, you could. No. So they're probably waiting till after today to repost them, I imagine.
I was looking for this before we started to find out, because I think it's gotten to the point now where a lot of these coaches their seats are so hot at this particular point. You got Callahan, you got McDaniel, and you got Daboll that are all sitting in some hot water. So I would assume that they're waiting to see if anything goes down in the next couple of days before they bring the Daboll is not doing himself any favors too. It's just, and again, I'm a fan of this team, but as we cover this sport and we all obviously all talk about it and write about it consistently. So I've seen enough ball to understand if I can make better formational decisions, if I can make better in-game adjustments from my fucking couch than the head coach of this football team for 20 games in a row, it's not good enough. And it's just, it's gotten to the point now, and I'm sure a lot of fans from other teams feel this way too, the Giants, the Dolphins, etc. Like it's just too much. But the thing about this, and V brought this up too, Cam Ward's playing really good football. And I know a lot of you guys maybe aren't watching every single Titan snap, because why the fuck would you? But I am. And this guy is zipping the ball, man. He's on time. He's in rhythm. Yes, he's taking some sacks. Yes, he's not looking in every particular portion of the field, but he is delivering the football where it needs to be delivered. The Titans wide receivers are not doing him any favors in dropping passes, but he's doing everything that you would expect from a number 1 overall pick to do, and looks like he has the goods. And if anything, Brian Callahan and the way that he's running this offense and the way that he is making bad decisions in game as a head coach is making it even harder on a rookie quarterback. So it's not doing him any favors. It's not doing this team any favors. And I just don't see a reason why. You're 0-3. I don't really think they're going to compete to win the division, especially with how good the Colts have looked. Just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off now in the next couple of weeks. Let somebody else, just let Cam Ward free and see what we got with this guy for this season. And then we can try to find a proper head coach in the offseason, because there's not head coaches just growing on trees out there.
Yeah, and look, SPJ, you and I talked about this because I had similar sentiment, obviously, last season as a Bears fan with Caleb Williams, and a similar thing happened with Justin Fields was there. It was like the training wheels are on. It's not Caleb Williams as much, but with Justin Fields, I remember being very critical of the coaching staff at the time when you had Nagy and then in Eberflus, because it was like they were trying to contain him and keep him in a box to prevent him from making mistakes. But as a young quarterback, you have to let them unleash and make those mistakes. Throw these interceptions so they can learn, deal with the adversity, and grow. They're not going to get better if you just keep them wrapped up and have all this safety measurements around them. Like, that's how you stunt their growth. So yeah, do you rip the Band-Aid off with Callahan as soon as possible so you prevent that potential growth being stunted for Cam Ward? I think they do, and I think they will. And that's why I think in that betting market now, certainly, Mike McDaniel saved his butt last week, so he's going to extend himself unless they get just demoralized on Monday Night Football, which they won't, right? Because they're playing, the Jets. So, I mean, it would be Jets, shocking if they did, but if they do, then yes, that would be a layup to get canned. But with the Titans this upcoming week, you and I talked about it this morning. If that number got to 7, or if it is at 7, I would be tempted looking at Tennessee against a Texans team that has refused to find a way to win, has an anemic offense. So if you can't keep it close against a division opponent there, and you have coaching malpractice another time on a pretty big stage, I don't see how you keep him. I mean, the noise is getting louder and louder in public media space now. I know you're way more tapped into the local aspect of it, but for people like myself and probably V, who are obviously out of the Tennessee realm, it just seems like it's getting louder and louder, and it's ramping up even more. So you can't keep getting away with this. And there was already the nepotism angle with them in the first place, to where he may not have deserved the job. And yeah, if you're an offensive guy and it looks as bad as it does, there's no excuses or reason to keep him in that spot for that long.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations. We don't have to talk about this anymore. Just thank you, chat, for allowing me a few minutes. Thank you, boys, for listening to my my rant on this. But it's not necessarily about the fact that I think that this team is good. I just think that this team is better than what they're putting out there. And at the end of the day, with any business, with any particular situation, who is the one that is to blame if there's simple, easy things that need to be fixed that aren't being fixed? It goes to the top, right? And unfortunately, Brian Callahan's probably going to be the one to take that.
You just want incremental growth and slow progress, a little bit competitive fire. That's all. You're not expecting wins. You just don't want incompetency.
I want a competent looking football team that's going to compete and be at least serviceable, but I also want a head coach that is going to make decisions that are not boneheaded and baffling. I don't understand that aspect of it. And unfortunately, that's kind of a league wide problem. I feel like a lot of these head coaches, especially ones that were coordinators in the past, come into these situations and maybe they don't truly understand what it takes to be a proper head coach. I mean, how could they? They've never done that before, but you have to know the rules. You got to know how to lead these men, and you got to know how to make a split decision in the right moment of This is a challengeable play. This is not a challengeable play. What do I need to do? And that requires a lot of depth. And some of these guys are young. Some of them haven't had coaching experience on the head coaching aspect of things. And it's you have to know what a catch is. Exactly, B-Dot. There's just some things just if I know that from my couch, I should know. I mean, that's something that you should know.
Losing is one thing, but it's about how you lose too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The expectation for the Titans team was never the postseason or anything extravagant. It was just progression. And he hasn't shown that in any moment, and it's just gotten worse despite the roster now getting better.
Yep, you just want to be competitive. And that kind of leads us into the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's talk about 3 teams that we thought this week, boys, showed that they were good. Let's talk about 3 teams we thought were maybe bad, and then also 3 teams that we just thought were downright ugly. Chat, let us know what you guys think, your favorite 3 teams for these particular categories. Sauce Man, since we're kind of Walmarting you, I don't want to lose you completely. Let's let you go first. What's your good, what's your bad, and what's your ugly team of the week?
Good team. I hate to repeat myself, and I hate to do it again, but after the performance Jalen Hurts had, he shut me the fuck up. I was very much on this train of he's not doing what he needs to do. He's not throwing the ball downfield. He's not doing these things. He's playing on a super team. And he shut me the fuck up. He came out. He played. He not only played well, but he won his team the game. He didn't give up in any moment of that game. And honestly, he won that game with his arm once again. After an initial tush-push touchdown to start the game, he came out there and he was just finding his receivers. A.J. Brown finally had that big breakout game that we were all expecting to come from him. And it just shows you that Jalen Hurts can do it with his arm despite not always doing it with his arm. And I got to give him credit because I have been one of their staunchest haters, but when they've been good, I got to say it. The bad, Miami looked bad once again on Thursday night. I think, like Danny said, maybe he saved his job. Maybe this Jets game is going to be a rude awakening for what this Miami team is actually how bad they really fucking are. I think that Mike McDaniels has been absolutely horrendous. They looked good for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden Tua decides to lose them the game. If it's not Mike McDaniels, it's Tua. If it's not Tyreek not showing up, it's something else. And it's like they don't find any answers, right? Jalen Waddle's a little bit beat up, and then the ugly, not to harp on the Packers again, but that offensive line, oh my God, I don't know if you guys saw, but it was a historically bad performance. They were the worst graded offensive line since 2021. Boys, they had a combined rating, I think, of 13.58. They were absolutely destroyed. Zach Tom tried to play here week 3, left the game early once again. Now we're not going to know how long he's going to be out. Huge part of this offensive line, and they just absolutely collapsed. After 2 weeks of keeping Jordan Love upright and all good, he could not stay off the ground. Myles Garrett is one thing, but that entire Browns front 7 was coming at him, and they just made the Packers look completely human, and that's without an offense on that side. So that was a little bit ugly, and right after that game is when I took my midday 5-hour nap. I was like, I've had enough. Oh, that was ugly.
All right, so Eagles good, Miami bad, ugly are your Packers. I don't know if they're ugly necessarily, but ugly.
They're not ugly, but
I guess
they were ugly in week 3.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Danny, take it away. What were your good and your bad and your ugly this week?
Yeah, 2 things to preface. I'm kind of surprised that V had the Dolphins like that. I walked away with that game more impressed than anything with Miami based on how we rated them. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, I suppose how you're approaching it. In the way that I'm going to look at this is more so a team that is in a good spot, not the benefit of a good situation, more that we know that they just perform good overall. So my point being, for example, look at the Bears. Yes, there's a lot of positives to take. That's not my team, by the way. That's not who I'm picking. But I'm saying, that would be a team you could put in the good. But I think they were more so the beneficiary of a good situation, meaning a crappy Cowboys defense. CeeDee Lamb got injured. Obviously, the Bears deserve that win. They earned it. But, it's not me, saying, oh, they're the good team now. No, I would more look at the team as a good with the Commanders because they weren't in a good situation, right? But they performed very well. They had Marcus Mariota coming in, and obviously he's a similar type of quarterback as Jaden Daniels. But this is a team that I was kind of, on the downgrade with my assessment on them. And you could argue that, maybe they were in a good situation because it was the Raiders, but obviously things had to change in the quarterback scenario with them. We, in a public consensus, I think would say that the Raiders are a better team now. At least we imagine they are than they were last year. At least they should be more competitive. Yet they just beat the brakes off of Las Vegas. So I got to give credit where credit's due. As much as I'm kind of anti-Commanders this season, their line did dominate. I mean, both their defensive line prevented Genty from getting anything. He was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he still got over his rushing yards prop. So I don't want to hear the Genty slander from people out there like I'm seeing. He's getting no help from his team whatsoever. whatever. And I'm only passionate about Genty because I got him in our leagues, on our team. So otherwise, I probably wouldn't be the biggest Genty guy right now.
I'm learning a little bit about the way you wager sometimes too. That you like to wager on guys on your fantasy team because then you're
paying more attention to them. I'm locked in on them.
It makes sense.
Right. So I think the Commanders, very good effort. They weren't the benefit of a good situation, but they made difficult one really good. So I got to give credit to them. This is tough. So obviously the Packers could fit into the bad or the ugly, but I think, that's it's more of an aberration for them in that game. So I'm not going to label them there. I will go bad with, I was debating between these two. You know what? Let's go bad with the Cincinnati Bengals because I'm debating if I want to put them bad or ugly, but I'll put bad. Now on Friday, SPJ was a witness. I was, for whatever reason, people may have been perplexed, insanely passionate about the Minnesota Vikings this week. I laid 2 in the hook. I did a bet one-on-one with our other co-host, Adam Kaufman, because we do a bet with a punishment on the side, and I picked the Vikings. He picked the Bengals. I took the Vikings for 2 out of 3 of my Survivor entries. I loved them in this spot. Did I think they were going to win 48-10? No, not by that landslide, but they had the advantage pretty much everywhere, right? It was like, Carson Wentz couldn't have been as bad as McCarthy had been. They have the better coaching staff as Minnesota, home field advantage, way better defense, et cetera, et cetera. But with that being said, like the Bengals were just so damn bad in that game. Browning is clearly not a serviceable backup option. They were very fortunate to win the last week. And then he was exposed this upcoming week or this past week. Then I was saying 2 weeks ago, he got by luckily. This past week was, it's just bad, and they're going to be screwed going forward. So they're in a bad situation overall. Their defense is horrid. They were the luckiest team the first 2 weeks outside of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So just overall bad for the Bengals, and it's going to get worse. The ugly here is going to be a team that I just did a complete 180 on now because they were my good last week. The ugly is the Atlanta Falcons, SPJ.
Yes.
How about it? I mean, you cannot get shut out against the Carolina Panthers. I don't care that, you're coming off of a primetime spot the week before. I don't care that the Panthers were 0-2 heading into that game, or you're on the road, or it's a division opponent. The Panthers stink, man. And I refuse to believe they're as good as beating the Falcons 30-0. Maybe I just got overzealous on this Falcons team, and I'll own that. But that is inexcusable with the weapons you have offensively to put up that type of dud. So the ugly goes to the Atlanta Falcons. I think they'll bounce back and be relatively okay. But I got to slow the brakes on Atlanta just a little bit, SPJ.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. They actually, and V's gone. V's dealing with some technical difficulty today, chat. We were able to at least get to him in the beginning. You guys could slander him, and you could hear his slander towards the Packers. I don't know if we're going to get him back, though, unfortunately. He's going to keep trying, though. But, I'm actually kind of with you on the Falcons. I'll talk about them in just a second from my perspective. But I'll go with my good team. Real quick, the chat is telling me, and I need to say this, I love Marcus Mariota. Trust me. I just didn't know we were going to see from him going into the Commanders this week. I know I was a little bit, I didn't prepare for that game as much. So he did play well last year, and he looked awesome for them, and they beat the brakes off the Raiders, like you said. So shout out to Marcus. Also, it's looking like he's probably going to play again this week. I think that his performance last week also maybe is making it easier for the Commanders and Dan Quinn to kind of go, you know what, Jaden, let that knee heal a little more. We got a serviceable backup that can come in and win.
Yeah, it's a seamless transition, right? Because it's a very similar quarterback to run that offense and an experienced guy who's come in big spots. So it's a perfect backup for him.
Hey, Marcus Mariota.
He did it last year too, right?
Yeah,
very exactly.
Well too. I forgot about that when we were talking about this game, and I totally blanked over the fact that he had some great games last year. And I mean, I watched Marcus for years. He is a really talented quarterback. He's super cerebral as well, and he's the type of guy that fits really well in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. So shout out to him. That was a good pull as well for that good. Mine's a little chalkier on the good department, but I bought into this Chargers team, boys. This team is legit. They passed the test this week against this Broncos team. Yeah, the Broncos are good, and I think that all of us maybe up here think that the Broncos are a tiny bit overrated still, but I thought the Broncos played well enough in this game to win. But this Chargers team is just that good. Justin Herbert, I'm going to talk about Herbert in a minute, but Justin Herbert looks like a bona fide MVP candidate in my opinion. I think that there's good value on him right now to be in that conversation going forward. Even though they lost Najee Harris, unfortunately, to that Achilles injury, they just look. Keenan Allen is the only player in the NFL so far this week that has had 60 yards receiving and a touchdown in every single week so far. If I told you that going into the season, you would have smacked me in the face and said you're a crazy person. But this Chargers team looks legit. Yeah, you Keenan? being a little
Yeah,
Keenan.
big Keenan fan.
Big Keenan guy. Their defense looks legit too. They look just all over the place. Harbaugh has them bought in, and I think that this team is ripe to make a big run in the AFC this year. So the good, a little chalky again, but I thought they passed some tests this week. 3 divisional wins too to start the season is just awesome to go 3-0 and 3-0 in the division too. So I'm big in on the Chargers.
Just to add to that really quick, you're right. Like that last week was a classic kind of letdown spot after everybody was ready, and us included. We all bought in on the Chargers, and rightfully so, and thankfully so. But that was the perfect spot for them to lose that game. And yeah, they overcame not only the injury to Najee Harris, but just struggling for all 4 quarters, really. And the fact that they pulled it out, the tide has turned for the Chargers finally. This is a legit team on both sides of the ball. I love that pick, SPJ.
Yeah. All right. So you kind of stole my bad. My bad was the Falcons, but you put them in the ugly. So you did the dirty work there. I'll go another AFC South team, the Texans. Wow, the Texans look bad. And I mean, I felt like this team was going to be pretty bad this season, but their offensive line is horrible. CJ Stroud, unfortunately, has looked pretty bad the first 3 weeks of the season, and this team is now 0-3. Lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, had plenty of opportunities to try to go win that game and just could not get the job done. Boys, maybe this team is just not very good. 0-3 Texans, just not a good performance, and really needed to win that game to kind of get back in the race, especially with how good the Colts are looking, and now the Jacksonville Jaguars are above them. So a huge game in Tennessee this week between the Texans and the Titans, but the Texans to me were no bueno, and I think that's I would be concerned if I was a Texans fan. What do you guys think about the Texans?
I think they're bad. I think that there was a lot of hype with CJ Stroud, and I know he's gone to the playoffs back-to-back seasons. But at some point, you have to do a little bit more than that. He's had some good weapons on that team. He had Joe Mixon putting up an elite season last year, despite some injuries to the receiving core. But I really think that at some point, the weapons are great. If you're not going to bolster this offensive line, though, what are you really going to do? I think that they're bad. I don't think that there's much hope for this team on the horizon here, especially with the way the Colts are kind of running away with that division.
Yeah, look, we may have hit the limitation with CJ Stroud to a certain extent. You still see the potential with that guy, so it's got to be infuriating as a Texans fan. But V's right. I mean, the offensive line's kind of a nightmare. I don't love their backfield with Nick Chubb getting a brunt of the workload. Like, what are we expecting to happen there? The defense is still very solid, but they can only do so much to limit the damage if the offense isn't providing any assistance. SPJ, I want to ask you something without trying to throw you into a rant here, because I know you still got one more to go. Would you rather, let me frame this right. So would you rather have the Titans win against the Texans this upcoming week, or just have another embarrassing loss, but Callahan gets canned? Are you willing to sacrifice that game for it?
I think that if I would always much rather have my team win, unless it just means the only time I would not feel good about that is when we get into the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. And if draft picks are on the line, then I'm down for them to just throw the game. Look serviceable. Cam Ward gets better, but then suck ass and lose. Right. That's
this is more so. What if the potential, they played well enough though, and Callahan somehow keeps his job throughout the year, or they get blown out and he's gone, and then you could just forget about him and don't even have to worry about that type of thing, Here's
what I think, and this will actually lead into my ugly for the Titans, because I already ranted about it. This team is this, and it's purely off the fact that I just think Callahan's an absolute bozo and a joke. But my theory is, Danny, is that they might win this game this week against the Texans. I don't think they will, but they might, right? Just because, they fucked around and found out many seasons. But what I think will probably end up happening, here's what's going to happen, chat. Brian Callahan will probably keep his job for another few weeks. But then if you look down the schedule at the Tennessee Titans, who comes to town in about 3 weeks? The New England Patriots. Who coaches the New England Patriots? Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is going to come into Tennessee, is going to whoop that ass. Oh, yeah. And if Brian Callahan still has his job, that will be when Amy Adams-Strunk pulls the plug in that situation. I don't know if he makes it that far. We'll see. We'll see how these next few weeks go. But if he makes it that far and Vrabel comes in there with a little fire under his ass after getting his ass kicked, he's going to come in there and say, all right, boys, go win this game for me, please, and thank you, so I can rub some dirt in this wound. And that will be when it happens. So not a great situation in Tennessee. As a fan of the team, I'm very sad, but I think that they were ugly this week, and I think that we're going to see some more ugly football in Tennessee, unfortunately, for Titans fans out there as well. I love this is your first time, Danny. This is our dog, Church Dev. He lives in Australia, so he's watching us tomorrow. So we appreciate you, Church.
He's in the future. He's got the locks. He's got to tell us what's happening tonight.
Yep, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Could you imagine watching Monday Night Football in the middle of the afternoon, or like in the
On the beach, dude. Could you imagine sitting on the Australian beach, sipping a Corona, watching Monday Night Football on Tuesday? Gotta love
and
it.
then you got a
Appreciate
full
you, Tristan.
nighttime slate every Sunday, like a fully packed nighttime Sunday night slate.
When I lived in London, it was actually pretty dope because all the games, this noon kickoff games, would start at 6. So like your Sunday evening from like 6 until about 2 a.m. was just football all the way that night. It was actually kind of lit if you can stay up late. It was pretty cool. But all right, chat. That was our good and bad and the ugly. Let us know what you guys think. Who are your goods? Who are your bads? And who was just downright ugly? And as no one mentioned the Giants, which I thought was interesting. I think we can all agree that the Giants are bad.
Yeah, it's what you expected, right? I mean, and the one thing I'll add really quick too about the first coach fired, I forgot to bring this up earlier. I think Dable still has the rest of this season if he plays his cards right with Jackson Dart. Again, me, you, Shags, and SPJ too. Like we've all talked about this. Like presumably the 0-4 start, then you're gonna get Dart in the mix, and then he kind of buys himself a little bit of time because that's the guy he drafted. So Dable, I still think is fairly highly regarded as a very strong mind in the NFL. So I think he's got a longer leash and wouldn't, wager on him to be the first coach fired.
This is probably the better question.
Yeah.
I think it's not this week, but the next. That's my guess.
Yeah. I think he flirted with it yesterday. And I think that he came in for a series or like a couple plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Russell Wilson just throwing the big game away at the end of the game and not even giving catchable passes in the red zone was just atrocious. So I don't know. We'll see. I think we're going to see Dart sooner rather than later. That's for damn sure. Yeah, exactly. From Steezy. What's up, Steezy?
I mean,
plenty of ugly to go around this week. Plenty of ugly this week.
Yeah, big yikes, dude. Big yikes. Can we get an overall ugly for the kicking units? Can we block an offensive line or a defensive line, please? What are we doing? Come on now. Special teams. Let's kick some fucking field goals and let's not get them blocked, please and thank you. All right. Overall ugly for the kicking units. Thank you very much. All right. I feel like we've gotten a lot of things off our chest now, boys. I feel good now. Feeling good. Everybody's
cathartic.
Absolutely. Feels good. Let's turn the page. Let's talk about tonight because we got a huge game this evening, Monday Night Football / Tuesday morning football for our Dog Church Dev. Big one tonight, boys. To finish off week 3. The Lions taking on traveling outdoors. Oh no, Jared Goff playing outside. Oh God, in Baltimore. The Ravens looking to take down the Detroit Lions. 4-point spread is what it was earlier today. I think it's still sitting around 4.5.
It's moved up actually to 5 in some spots.
Is it 5 now? Okay, let me
refresh. But I was gonna bring that up like before the show. Yeah, 5.5 in some spots.
I'm seeing 4.5 too. It's a lot of line shot for this one, Chad. If you'd like the spread here, we'll talk about it a little bit deeper. 53.5 was the over under. It's gone up another point. 54.5. I think it opened at 48.5, which is wacky. We talked about this a little bit earlier, V. So I'll let you kind of kick us off, just kind of from an overall perspective before we jump into talking props of this game. What is your kind of takeaway of these two teams going head to head tonight?
I think the total is kind of showing us everything we need to know. Both teams are highly powered offenses. I think the Lions are averaging close to 30 points per game over the last 2 seasons, and the Ravens are right there with them. We saw both of their games so far this year have been very high-scoring games. They did blow that one against the Bills in week 1. And I think if there's one thing we've seen from both teams is that their offenses are fantastic, but the defenses leave some stuff to be desired. Like I know Detroit looked a lot better, but the Bears still didn't do that bad. Caleb Williams was completing his passes. Rome Odunze had a pretty big game, and the lack of a run game really didn't help Chicago. But in week 1, we really saw them not do well against the Packers team where you really have to account for the running back. The play action can kind of kill you, and that's exactly what's going to happen here with the Ravens. Do you stack the box, or do you let do you let Lamar Jackson, the guy who has the highest QBR in NFL history now, just kind of torch you from the air? I don't know. I think both sides here leave a lot to be desired on the defensive side. That's why I'm excited for points, and hopefully I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, we talked about this a little earlier. This total moving up as high as it's gotten now it's tough because could this game touch the 60-point mark pretty easily? 100%. I mean, we've already seen the Ravens take on the Bills, and that game was a 70-plus point barn burner. But you said this earlier, Danny, which I think is a good point, chat. And if you guys are looking to bet the total here, you might have missed the boat. I mean, a 6-point move on total is really tough. This game could totally still have a bunch of points, lots of props, lots of excitement, and still end on 52 or 53 points. And like the original line cash would hit the over, and this closing line would not hit. Could be one of those situations. So be sure to pay attention where this line ends up kind of settling. Danny, what's your kind of overall look at this game before we kind of jump in and talk about some of our favorite bets?
Yeah, just really quick on that. I mean, because you think 30 to 23, 30 to 24, so 52.5 probably would have been the highest you'd want to go if you were trying to get involved in it. But yeah, I'm with you there. It's now as high as 54 in the hook, even though 54 seems to be the consensus in my neck of the woods. Probably just stay away. And again, there's no problem with waiting to see if you can't get a better number in game. And if you don't, so be it. You stay back and maybe you save a little bit of money. Maybe you miss out, but then you better prepare for the next time around. I'm sorry. Did you want me to get into my best bet right away, or are we saving though for a little bit?
Yeah, we'll save it. I was just seeing your kind of takeaway, kind of the spread and the total and the teams.
Sorry, I was looking at the numbers just to make sure before, so I want to make sure I heard you correctly. So yeah, but I am in agreement, obviously, thinking this is going to be a higher scoring affair, back and forth type of battle. It's funny, when we were looking at this game this morning, SPJ, I mean, again, it was 4.5 in favor of Detroit. And again, in my neck of the woods, I'm seeing some fives, a couple 5.5s. And I would have initially told you that, I would lean toward taking the points with Detroit. I think Detroit's in a sticky situation here because you still have those two new coordinators trying to fill in that position. And the way that I describe them, look, week 1 was a perfect spot for V's Green Bay Packers. I mean, it makes sense that they just dominated them in that game. Then week 2, on the other side, flip the script, it was an even better spot for Detroit. Because even though it was week 2, it really seemed like it was a must-win game for them, as crazy as that sounds. Because if you lose back-to-back division games at home for the second one against, let's be honest, obviously even going into that, an inferior team in the Bears with your former offensive coordinator coming, like that would have just been a nightmare scenario. So the jury is still relatively out on this Detroit team. They're not as bad as they were in week 1 against the Packers. They sure as hell ain't as good as they were against the Bears because the Ravens defense presumably will be better than Chicago's. They're a good team. They're not a great team this season. Now with the Ravens, they certainly have their vulnerabilities on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that will get exposed to a certain degree, but they've got the better coaching staff. They've got the better quarterback. They're going to find a way to win this game. And yeah, I mean, same kind of thing now. It's like, do you want to lay 4 in the hook? I don't know. I mean, I personally don't want to touch this spread. I would rather wait for a better in-game money line spot with Baltimore. Maybe Detroit has a great scripted first series, and then we can get that opportunity with Baltimore. That's probably the way I would look at it.
100%. I mean, this is this is a very true statement right here. Like if you have the under 63 as like a teaser and a parlay or something and you're nervous, that tells you everything you need to know about this game. Because I would be too, because there could very easily be 65 to 70 points in this game with both of these offenses that get rolling. The movement on the spread is a little interesting. I feel like that the Ravens should win this game just from like a money line perspective, if you want to maybe wait or if you want to put Ravens money line in a parlay. But the Lions could also come in here. The Ravens are really bad at collapsing in the fourth quarter. Maybe the Lions have a little bit of a lead or something like that. And this is one of those situations where Detroit just kind of stays around and then ends up winning it late. Or we get another blocked field goal and then just goes crazy again. Who knows? But before
every
we jump
time you
into
say
some props,
blocked field goal, I just like, oh.
at least your team had a chance to kick a field goal to win a game at the end of it. It'd be nice. But before we kind of move past and talk about a little more inside the game and taking some props, lots of chats dropping a lot of different stuff that they like. Keep dropping what you guys like in the chat. We'll kind of answer some of those questions as you guys are chatting through some things. With that in mind about the high total and the closer spread, and both of these teams do have elite offenses. The one thing I would say to you, Chad, as you guys are tapping into this is, I mean, lean into that. if you think there's going to be a shit ton of points, there's nothing wrong with kind of taking a bunch of props that kind of tie into that angle, because if there's going to be a lot of points, it means a lot of touchdowns are going to happen. It means there's going to be a lot of movement of the football. So a lot of props are going to get involved. You don't want to miss out on an opportunity like we saw on Sunday night last week or 2 weeks ago with just a barn burner type of game, which this could turn into, and you leave some money on the table because you're concerned about some of these props. So keep that in the back of your mind when you're llooking at how you cap these games and kind of look at these higher totals, and kind of take that into account with some of these prop lines that we're about to talk about as well. We'll save the kind of who you got for last. What do you guys, V, I'll let you kick us off. What are some props that you're kind of looking at here in this game? There's a lot of different tasty ones. Very interested to see which way you want to go, where you want to start.
I'm looking at the running back in Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs, over 27.5 receiving yards. I know sometimes it can be a little bit scary with the receiving yards prop with the running back, with the chance of negative yardage and stuff like that. But the reason I'm taking it is because this Lions team, while we know them to be a run-heavy offense, a team that has run the ball very well, is very different now on that front offensive line. They have a new center. He's ranked, I think, last out of all starting centers in the league, or all 36 qualified centers in grading. He has not been good. The center plus their two guards, they rank in the bottom 3 in runs between the tackles, and I don't think it's going to change. They have excelled towards the outside because they have Sewell on one side and another elite tackle on the other side. I think in order to get the ball moving, especially against guys like Roquan Smith, is to get it done through the air. Put Jahmyr Gibbs in a position where he can get down into the open field and make a move and make guys miss. That's when he's at his best, and I think it's a place where we're going to have to see him utilized. He's third in target share so far through 2 games. He's one of Goff's favorite targets, and he's seeing an insane snap count. I love this spot for him. I think you get him out in space, and the best part about this is Baltimore is missing their all-pro linebacker, Kyle Van Noy. He's one of their better coverage linebackers. He's not going to be playing in the game today, and because of it, I think Jahmyr Gibbs has a good chance to kind of get out there in space and maybe bust a big one off. I think his line is also 27.5 for a reason, kind of indicative of what he's going to look like and how he's going to be utilized in a game where you might have to pass the ball a little bit more than you want, just because of how bad that offensive line has been through 2 weeks. So give me Jahmyr Gibbs over 27.5 receiving yards.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we share similar sentiment. Again, we hammered this home this morning, V. I mean, it seems like the obvious play to make, and sometimes it scares you when it's too obvious, but sometimes you're like, I mean, how the heck are you not going to bet this? Look, you see what Baltimore's done or lack thereof against running backs. James Cook, 5 targets, 5 receptions, 58 receiving yards. The Browns running backs just absolutely were all over the place. I mean, 12 targets to the tailbacks. They hauled in 11 of them for 46 yards. You talk about that snap count difference. 77 in favor of Jahmyr Gibbs to Montgomery's 48. 13 targets to Gibbs. Montgomery's got 5. Even last season, Baltimore, they were allowing those dump-off screens, whatever you want to call them, to running backs, averaging about 5 per game against this Ravens defense. And again, the big thing when you're looking at these props is, yes, where is there an edge in the market relative to where it should be, of course, but then what's his game going to play out to be? You got to start there. And my vision, which obviously coincides with my best bet and why I had a strong lean with Gibbs as well, is that it's going to be a higher scoring game. Naturally, the total indicates that, but more so too that the Lions are probably going to be trailing. And when that happens, I mean, Goff is just passing it relentlessly, and you're going to see some of that pressure, and the safer option presumably is one of your better players and skill makers in Jahmyr Gibbs. So I love that approach.
I know that you talked about this a little bit earlier as well, and you kind of started teasing about it right now too. I know you like the pass attempts for Jared Goff, similar reason as to what you were just talking about. You want to talk about that a little more?
Yeah, for sure. So again, pretty much from what I just said, how the game flow is going to play, I imagine, is that the Ravens do end up winning this game. They're going to have a lead. The Lions are going to look to pass, and it's just going to be high-scoring offensive firepower to begin with. So you look at what happened with this Ravens defense. Josh Allen went 33 of 46 freaking attempts. I mean, obviously they had to come from behind and play aggressively, but that's what you need to do against Baltimore. Joe Flacco, they were getting killed, but he even threw the ball 45 times. He threw as old as he is. I mean, it's ridiculous that his arm can even get that many throws out there. I project him around like 36, 37 at least tonight. And you look at games where Jared Goff and the Lions have lost. So against these Packers, he threw 39 times. Heck, even against the Bears, he threw 28 times, and they won by 30-plus points. If Sonic and Knuckles can't get going immediately on the ground, then they're going to have to flip to that. And then in the 3 games they lost last year, the pass attempts he had were 40, 55, and 59. I get that Ben Johnson's not there, but it's still a similar-ish type of offense they want to integrate there, right? They're not completely turning it over. It should all lead to him getting over 34.5 pass attempts. It just seems like way too low of a number given the circumstances here. And you can get it minus $120, the best number right now I see available.
Nice. You wrote about this game. You guys can go read Danny's further analysis if you want at bettingnews.com for free, as always. And I'll use this chance to remind you guys, we give out free content every single day right here on the channel. We also give out free content every single day at bettingnews.com. Both of these guys cover every single NFL game all season long. And newsflash chat, our staff article went bananas this week. 11-1. We went 11-1. All plays that not too juiced or some plus money plays. We are now cooking to start the season. 3 straight winning weeks. Chef's in the chat. He's in that article as well. Comes out every single Saturday. I cursed us probably. We'll go 0-12 next week, but get involved with the free content. And obviously look out for that article on Saturdays to get 12 picks in there. I mean, 11-1 is just crazy work. But Chad's talking about it. You heard me talk about this earlier, Danny. V knows exactly what I'm about to say. So I won't waste too much of your time, chat, with the sell job that I'm about to give you. But everybody get your crowns. Get them all nice and clean and dusted off because it's going to be out tonight. Give me Derrick Henry over 84.5 rushing yards. Nice and chalky. Coming off a bad week against probably one of the best rushing defense units in the entire NFL against the Browns. The Ravens also were dog walking the Browns at this point. Didn't need Derrick Henry to have a big game. But the king always shows up in primetime situations. The last 2 games that Derrick Henry has played as a member of the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football, he went crazy against the Buccaneers and against the Chargers. 150-plus rushing yards in both of those games. I think we see another big night tonight from the king. And to be very honest, I don't think that the Ravens are going to want to get into a shootout with the Lions. I think they have no problem doing that, but they want to probably control the tempo. They want to control the pace. They want to keep this in their house and on their tempo, and that is Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson pushing the pace and running the football. So I think Derrick Henry has an opportunity to have a big night tonight. I think 100+ is very good value. You can even ladder it up to the 125 if you want to get really crazy. And I do think he finds the end zone, but I'm not going to lay the minus 200 even in a parlay. So Derrick Henry, love the king tonight. I know it's nice and chalky, but I think that he has a big bounce back day today.
Speaking of chalk, I honestly think he could get in the end zone twice today. I think it's fully on the table for him to get in the end zone twice. If you want to throw that in a little lotto, probably plus 250, but I'm saying.
I don't hate that either. I mean, him like 150-plus rushing yards and 2 touchdowns is probably a plus 1,000 sprinkle that I think is definitely live tonight. If he gets going, it could be one of those nights. To kind of turn it back to another play that I have in the passing department on the Lions side of things, you guys both talked about the quarterback situation. You talked about Gibbs, which I really like that play too, V. I'm on Laporta, though, over 43.5 receiving yards. He's been really good to start the season, but this Ravens defense is bad, boys. And I think that it's one of those situations where we've only had 2 weeks to kind of have a sample size here, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But they're 32nd in the NFL, which is dead last in passing yards allowed. They're 32nd in passing yards allowed to the tight end position. Both of the Browns tight ends were able to have nice success in Njoku, and Fannin had really good games against this team. And then in week 1 for Knox and Kincaid, they both went over their props. Laporta is kind of the only tight end that you're going to target for the Lions, and I think Jared Goff's going to find him early and often. So I think that the 43.5 is very comfortable. I like the 50+. I even like the 60+, and I do like his touchdown at plus 250. I think the value is really nice for Laporta in this situation, and I think that he should take advantage of kind of this pretty bad coverage unit on the Ravens, especially in the linebackers and the nickelbacks position. So give me Laporta over 43.5. Got a good number there, but I do like it up to 50. So whatever your live line you guys are seeing, you guys can lock that in if you want to ride the Laporta potty time. V's got a plus 750 touchdown scorer for us, Chad.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to like it. Let me just preface it with that. No shit ain't hitting. Nobody's going to like it, and it probably makes no sense. But I've put my tinfoil hat on, and Charlie Kolar, I don't know how you pronounce this, but he is a 4th-year tight end out of Iowa State. He is the go-to right now, second-string tight end for this Baltimore Ravens team. And Isaiah Likely is out of the lineup. Patrick Ricard is out of this lineup. And I don't know if you guys know, but Patrick Ricard is a huge part of this offense, not in terms of getting the ball, but in terms of what he brings in the pass blocking game and the run blocking game. And that's exactly what Kohler's done. Over the first 2 weeks, he's seeing a 60% snap share, despite not seeing a single target yet this year. He has 26 total targets in his 4 seasons. He only played 2 games in his rookie year, so don't hold it against him. But he is a 6'6" tight end that came out of Iowa State. He scored 23 touchdowns in his 4 years there, finished with over 2,000 yards. And you know who he played with, boys? He played with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. So I think this is a situation where you're coming in against a team that you know is always going to have a bunch of tricks in their bag, a bunch of different movements, whether it's an offensive lineman catching a touchdown, whether it's a flea flicker like we saw Ben Johnson do yesterday. But there's always going to be something in this Lions bag of tricks. And how do you combat that? How do you do things? You bring things that haven't been seen on tape, things that there are no tape for. I think Kohler's played a huge role on this offense in the pass blocking and run blocking game. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get in the end zone this week, just because look at these odds. At plus 750, he would be scoring his first touchdown of the year. Not only that, but it could be his first catch of the year, his first target of the season. This is a guy who is shorter odds than Tylan Wallace, who had 2 touchdowns, I think it was last week. This is a Ravens offense where they're looking for a tight end. Mark Andrews has not fit the bill so far this year. He's got a couple of drops in the red zone, and you know that Lamar likes to go to his big-bodied tight ends once they get down there. I think Kohler is fully live at plus 750, and it's something that I won't be mad about if it doesn't hit. But again, shit ain't hitting, Chad. Okay, so don't come at me when this one doesn't hit. But yeah, I'm taking Kohler at plus 750.
If this smacks, this will be the pull of the century to start the season. So
I mean,
balls to you for saying it live on the show. So, all right.
Love the value there. Love it.
I mean, might as well, right? Let's throw some darts at the board.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the argument, and we talk with Trizzy about these touchdown odds a lot, and you have to take that into account, chat, on a week-to-week basis. I mean, that's where it's kind of like the same with home runs. Like you get the way you look at home runs similarly, like when a guy's home run odds just drop drastically in certain pitching matchup situations, and sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes it means the homie's going yard. Could be one of those situations too. Obviously, there's so much variance in play, but it could be a similar situation there too. Before we get to the point of ending the show and cooking the parlay, because there's lots of other stuff we could talk about. I think both wide receiver ones are in really good matchups. We talked about Amon-Ra earlier, and Zay Flowers too. Zay Flowers has been the target machine for this Ravens offense so far to start the season. 7 catches in both games to start, with double-digit targets in both of those games as well. I think that he is in store for yet another good night. I do also like Amon-Ra, as chalky as that sounds. As I said, this is one of those games, chat, where just look at all the things you like, put together some weird, funky parlays for a cup of coffee or a buck or however you put together some of these bad boys, because this game could turn into some fireworks, and you don't want to be missing out on some opportunities on some guys in good matchups to go a little crazy. So both wide receivers are live. I think we talked about some angles all across the board that I think you guys can tap in on. Lamar Jackson, 2+ touchdowns was something we talked about earlier too. It's a little juiced. I do think it's a good parlay piece. My only trepidation is he's had 2+ passing touchdowns in 10 straight games. I hate taking props like that because he's due for a red night, but he just came off 4 against the Browns. He's probably going to throw 2 passing touchdowns once again. So lots of value out there. Now, let's cook our parlay, guys. Anything else you guys want to say? One before we put together an SGP. Any final thoughts?
One more touchdown I want to throw out there. I am tailing Trizzy here, so I will give him the credit, but you can give me the fall if it hits, or if it doesn't hit. If it doesn't hit. Whoa, Freudian slip. But Bateman sitting, he said at plus 220. I think it is a plus 210. He's got 4 targets on the year total, but this is a Lions team where I think it's over 60% of wide receiver production comes against wide receivers lining up on the outside. And this is a spot where I think that Bateman and Hopkins could both see some increase in production this week. We know Zay Flowers is going to be a huge topic of conversation in preparation for this week, in prep for this game. He's also a speedy wide receiver, the Baltimore Ravens' first Pro Bowl wide receiver in their history. And I think a lot of focus is going to be on him. But Bateman's a guy that we've seen once you get close to within 20+ yards, he has a propensity to find the holes in the defense. And I think that might be why the line's sitting a little bit short, as Trizzy would say. So I am tailing Trizzy on that one.
I dig it. All right, guys. This is nice too. Henry, Amon-Ra, and Flowers for 100 plus for $25, sprinkling on that. There you go, Church Dev. I think Chef actually dropped in earlier while you were talking, Danny, of Amon-Ra and Flowers for 100 each. Could happen. Feels comfortable. Definitely worth it. I also like both of their catch receptions lines too, 5.5 and 6.5 respectfully for both of them. They should get a hefty amount of targets in this game too. So again, lots of value out there. We talked about a lot of different things. I'm sure you guys like a lot of stuff out there too. Let's have some fun, boys. Let's cook an SGP. Unfortunately, Danny, we're not going to be able to put in. I know it's kind of a pain in the ass.
I know. I keep screwing us on that bet.
It's okay. It's fine though, because you can just ride it solo, chat tail it solo, and you can have some fun with it solo. Right. So it doesn't have to. If it doesn't end up hitting, it won't ruin all of the parlays that we put together. V, do you want to do Gibbs receiving in here?
I do like Gibbs. Yep, I'm down to throw Gibbs in here.
Okay. All right. So Gibbs receiving yards. I think that is different than what we did earlier as well, which is good. Because we did his receptions, right, Danny? Isn't that what we did?
Yeah, we did the 3+ receptions with Slops combo, him and Laporta.
Yeah,
Laporta was at 4+. Yeah,
right. Exactly. He was busy, Adam. Also, hello, Adam from YouTube. What's up, man? 27.5 receiving yards for Jahmyr Gibbs, over 27.5. Okay, let's go. I want to do. You guys want to do Henry in here?
If you guys want to, feel free. I'm on different on Henry tonight. I mean, look, am I going to go out there and bet an under on him? No, but I just think it could, like, the thing that would scare me, the only thing is that if it is just a back and forth, just passing battle left and right, that's my only hesitation. But SPJ, I'm not doubting you by any stretch of the imagination. So if it's 2v1, that's okay. I'm not like anti it, but I'm not like in love with it, I guess I'd say.
Do you like Laporta better?
I would say so, because that kind of goes in line with my golf thought process too. So,
Sauce man?
Yeah, I'm down Laporta. Jahmyr, we have nothing for the Ravens side right now.
How about we do Flowers catches from Church Dev? Yeah. I like that for 5.5. Down for that one, Danny?
Well, you know I'm anti-Flowers tonight, but objectively speaking, sure.
He's just anti-Ravens tonight. That's what Danny is.
No, he is anti-Flowers because of fantasy. That's why he wants Flowers to.
And it's in a different. I was like, nobody gives a crap, but like I have to be, my own bias is anti-Flowers, and it involved CeeDee Lamb being on my team, giving me 0, and then the other guys just got Flowers left. If Flowers gets like sub 18 points, I'll be content. So he can get 6 receptions, just
6
10
catches
yards or less.
Fine.
Hopefully not.
A bunch of negative. A bunch of negative guys. All right, so Jahmyr Gibbs 27.5 receiving yards. Sam Laporta 47.5 receiving yards. Zay Flowers 5.5 receptions. But do you guys want to stick on the Ravens side? And do we want to do something with Lamar, or do we want to do something with Goff?
We didn't talk about it. What about Lamar's rushing yards?
Yeah, where are those at? I was also going to say, how big of a difference is it if you do Zay Flowers 5 flat as opposed to 5.5? I mean, we can wait till the end, but I'm kind of curious how big of a difference that makes.
Probably quite a bit. Let me just see.
Okay, if it's substantial, then forget it. But
his minus for 5.5 is -115. What is the 5 for Mr.
Probably like
Flowers?
-160, -150,
-250. Yeah, that's a huge.
Okay, wow.
I know. That's a huge jump.
All right, forget it.
So the reason I bring up Lamar's rushing too is not just because of like his scrambling ability, but how do you combat a guy like Aiden Hutchinson on the line, right? You throw in some like schemes to get the running backs out into space, or when you have a QB like Lamar, you run a read option. We saw the Packers do it against Myles Garrett yesterday with a lot of success. And Jordan, all you have to do is make the right read. Lamar Jackson is 100% a guy where you get a couple of those, you make Aiden Hutchinson think twice as to which way the ball is going to go. That little bit of hesitation is exactly what you need from a player like that. Just because of that, I could see maybe a couple of more designed runs in today's matchup with the Lions, but I'm not 100% sure. What do you guys think?
I like it.
Yeah, what's the number at again that we're looking for it?
It's 45.5.
45.5.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I was expecting a much higher line. I like that a lot then.
I think it can get 50 on the ground. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to be trying to sweat out and under with Lamar Jackson's rushing in a high-scoring battle.
The one thing I will throw at you guys, those 4 legs is plus 1,000. I think we're good with that. So Gibbs over 27.5, Sam Laporta over 47.5 receiving, Zay Flowers over 5.5 receptions, Lamar Jackson 45.5 rushing yards. That's plus 1,046, depending on where you're shopping. Lamar Jackson's under passing yards was something else that is kind of interesting. I'm not going to bet it. I don't want to take an under, but the point that Adam was making earlier was actually pretty valid about Lamar has not really gone over his passing yards that often. He scored a lot of touchdowns, but his rushing ability with how they like to move the football, his passing yards is something that he does not eclipse very often. He's only hit it in 3 of his last 10 games outright at this 232.5 number. Now, if this game turns into a shootout, you'd be sweating this really heavily, but I don't hate that. I don't hate that because they can win the game and he could have 4 touchdown passes and you look up and he only has 190 passing yards. So,
I mean, it goes hand in hand with your Derrick Henry thought process, right? So I get why you would be thinking that most definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I'm not a big believer in this Detroit Lions defense in all facets, but particularly in their secondary. So I could see this being a game where Lamar is able to connect on some deep balls here. And I mean, if you're Detroit, I mean, when you're going into this game, kind of knowing this, I mean, is your main focal point trying to limit Derrick Henry or limit Lamar in the passing game right away? And it's probably let's contain Derrick Henry because you don't want him to break off for an explosive run. So that may lead the Ravens to passing a little bit more in the beginning. But yeah, then if they get a sizable enough lead toward the end, then perhaps they abandon it. But, Lamar I mean, V talked about him. He's like the most efficient passer in the NFL. And it's crazy that he doesn't go over it. I get it. But yeah, 53.5 for the total. I don't know, man. That's terrifying.
Oh, trust me. I'm not taking it. I just think it's an interesting talking point for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll quote Danny, and I don't want to sweat out a Lamar Jackson.
Nope. All right.
Well, no interceptions yet. Interesting.
Oh, there you go, too. First play, pick. See you.
Right.
All right. So plus 1,000 BETSPRESSO for SGP for Monday Night Football. If you would like to ride Jahmyr Gibbs over 27.5 receiving yards, Sam Laporta over 47.5 receiving yards, Zay Flowers at 6 catches, and then Lamar Jackson over 45.5 rushing yards plus 1,000, depending on where you're shopping. That gets the job done, boys. That is that's a fun SGP. All of that feels very doable. We're not asking for anybody to do anything crazy. So I think we just rock and roll with that and we get after it. Before we get out of here, just to mention this, Church Dev, take his rushing and receiving. I don't hate the rushing yards for Flowers, but his rushing and receiving is a nice way to take Zay Flowers. I used to bet that quite often last year because he's good for a couple jet sweeps. Sometimes he does catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage and it counts as a rush. Maybe he breaks one off. So his rushing and receiving yards line is definitely an angle if you can play that as well in comparison to just his receiving. So good stuff, boys. Fun game tonight. Should be a good one. Hopefully we get a barn burner, as you guys said. Hope we get a lot of points. Hopefully this game does soar over and every prop hits and all of our bets smack and we don't have to come in tomorrow bitching and moaning about a bad into week 3. Perfect. That's all I got to ask for. Exactly. Perfect. Oh, you dropped in earlier, my man, right before you left. So we'll answer this question for you guys. This guy asked earlier, Jamar Chase for JSN. And I mean, we had to sign off before we were able to answer the question. But this is an added angle of Javonte Williams and CMC. But just to go back to your question from earlier, Broly, of would you guys right now, currently in this particular season, trade, depending on your roster, obviously, would you trade Jamar Chase for Jackson Smith and Jigba?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was pretty clear. Both of them said yes immediately. Yes.
I take that trade in a heartbeat. CMC and JSN are two of the most efficient fantasy football players so far this season. If you remove touchdowns, they are both in the top 3 of points per game. 100% make that trade. And whoever offered that to you, send him a box of like chocolates too to say thank you.
And on another caveat, bet JSN's receiving yards next week, which is what I've been doing, which has been air.
Boy.
Yeah, it's my boy. It's my dog.
A flu game to Jigba. That just has a ring to it. You know what I mean?
It's easy.
Well, with CMC too, I mean, the 49ers incredibly banged up throughout their offensive personnel. So yeah, they got to lean on him even more. I mean, he obviously hasn't looked as great as in years past, but it's not going to surprise anyone if he picks it up here. So yeah, agreed. Take it in a heartbeat.
I would trade right now. I would trade Jamar Chase, I would trade Justin Jefferson. I would trade.
I might be
would
trading
think about-
Chase Brown. I've got him on a couple teams. I mean, I want to get him out of there. And I loved him going into this season, but it's like they're going to be trailing in every game now.
Jackson
The
Smith,
offensive line looks horrendous.
Yeah,
Jackson.
crazy.
Prendy always has the best stuff, man. Prendy.
I know. We love you, Prendy.
Absolute wizard.
Thanks, Burley. Thanks for being here too, Chatter. Appreciate you, man. If you're not following us right here on Twitch, give us a follow. We really appreciate the content. We go live every single day, and we appreciate the questions. Sorry we couldn't answer it earlier, but glad we got to you a little bit later. It's non-PPR. Does that matter? No.
Nope.
Don't matter at all. I mean, play in a PPR league next time, but no, it don't matter.
That's
What is it, Ma? One first touchdown score before we get out of here. Just from the Plums. Who's scoring first?
From the Plums.
Khalif Raymond.
Whoa.
Absolute long shot.
That's
me and Danny are on the same page in terms of like out of nowhere, but I'm going to go with Bateman on the other side.
I like that too.
Bateman.
I like Bateman a
Rashad
lot,
Bateman,
actually.
yeah.
That's good. I like that.
I'm gonna go Lamar. I think Lamar scrambles in for the first touchdown on a little jet sweeper, on a little quarterback keeper.
Before we leave, can you guys confirm, is Adam going to have to sing a song because of the bet that he lost with Danny?
I have not determined what his punishment will be, so I've got to think about it between now and Thursday. But he will not. I will not make the man sing.
It's tough to follow SPJ after he sang, man. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I'd be so scared.
I showed that to my mom, and she was pretty proud of me. So that's all that matters. Thanks,
Hey, I
Mom.
got a quick funny story, really, like based on that. Following someone who's great at singing. We were talking about karaoke before the punishment, SPJ. Remember, you're like, if you got a karaoke song, yeah, that's how I know you're good. And I said one of them was "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" by Frankie Valli, right? That's kind of my class year one. So I'm in Vegas, and we are at Excalibur, and they had a big stage, but they were doing karaoke. So there's like hundreds of people. So it's not like you're just casually walking up. Friends and I were obviously feeling pretty good. And I was like, I'll throw my name in a hat. Who cares? There's these like group of drunk girls, like sorority girls, you would imagine, who go up there just awful. I'm like, oh, perfect. Like, I'm going to follow these girls. It's got to be my turn at this point. Like, beautiful. Lo and behold, this guy who had already gone up before just sang flawlessly. Everyone's like, oh my, why is this guy doing here? He's like a professional. They call his name again. So not only does he go up next, he sings in a different language. And it's even that much better in front of all these people. And I turn to my friends and I go, I guarantee my name's getting called next. No shit. They called Danny Burke. I walk up there, sing it, trying to get the girl who's on stage involved with me. It was, I literally walked up there, grabbed the mic, and I was like, that's a tough act to follow. And I got like a couple of laughs, and I was like, this is terrifying.
Oh my God.
It scarred me a little bit from doing it outside of friends.
I hope you went and took a shit ton of shots. Yeah, for real. I hope the shots were flowing after that.
So long story short, I get why it would be tough for Adam to want to follow someone like you, SPJ. I would not want to be in that position again.
Thanks. I'll sing to you guys in German one day. That'll be even more fun to make it even worse. Speaking of
karaoke in Chicago, I mean, maybe.
I'd be down. Chat, if we are going to drop some information tomorrow about our meetup information in Chicago. If you want to come and hang out with us live, all of us are going to be in Chicago the weekend of October the 9th to the 13th. We will be live. We'll be doing a meet and greet on Saturday at Country Club, which is in Wrigleyville in Chicago. We'll be dropping some information. Come and hang out with us, win some free swag, have some drinks, and sweat out some bets with us on Saturday in Chicago. We'll drop some more info on the timeline. Follow us on all the socials if you haven't already. Go follow Vsauce. Go follow Danny Burke. Go follow myself. Go follow all of us at Your Betting News. Get involved with all of our content right here on Twitch, on YouTube, and on X. Big thanks to our sponsors at Bet Online. And as always, go check out all of our free stuff at bettingnews.com to try to help you guys make some money and enjoy the process every single day. The guys will be live again tomorrow. 3 shows for you guys tomorrow. Get involved with all the content, man. You get all the stuff live. We're about to be going live like 6 hours a day every single day. So you don't even have to turn us off. You'll just be like chilling with us like all day. It'll be great. The vibes are high. Boys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out. Guys, you guys came for the winners and you stayed for the vibes. Have a fantastic Monday night. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? Down in the deep.